everybody. Welcome to our mental health series. I'm so glad that you're taking time to join us. I hope that this is valuable for you because we know that this conversation is one that needs to be had. Up to 48 million people wrestle with depression. So this is a conversation that lives within you, or at least is around your family, your friends. So these are very important conversations that we're having. And I'm so excited because we have Judi Pritchard with us. And she is an expert in brain health. She's the CEO and founder of CogniThrive, and this is her world. This is her expertise. And so we're just going to have a conversation here with her and just learn from her perspective and her expertise what we can do to protect and enhance our mental health. So Judi, thank you so much for joining us.
It is my pleasure. Thank you for having me.
Well, I'm excited. I'm excited to talk to you because I see all the work that you do online, and I see all the people that you're helping. I hear all of the amazing reviews from people who've been impacted by the work you do. And so I wanted to have you join us and just give us some insights because I know there are so many people that are struggling with their mental health. And so I know that you're going to be helpful for this conversation. But first, just tell us, you've got a lot going on, first of all. Tell us a little bit about what you do and what your heartbeat is in this space.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm a speech pathologist by background, and I've worked the majority of my career in skilled nursing facilities, rehabbing individuals that had some kind of brain injury in one way or another, including dementia. And one thing that I finally learned was the more they would come to me and I would try and rehab them, the stigma out there around having cognitive decline beat them down to where they no longer had hope. There had to be something done. So I went out and I learned all I could, even more so around cognition and the brain, and learned so much about what we can do preventatively to prevent age-related decline from happening, and also from the impacts that you can have if you are experiencing depression. Is there an underlying cognitive need that you have that we also need to take a look at as a course of your overall treatment plan? That we need to evaluate that so you feel empowered to know how your brain is working and what you can do to help it.
That's great. So it sounds like you take a really in-depth approach beyond just circumstantial things that someone maybe, and not minimizing the circumstantial things, but there could be a deeper, more root cause.
Absolutely. There are many, many things that are causing people to have cognitive struggles that are fixable and reversible. Knowing your labs, knowing your performance, how well you're doing, those all impact your brain's performance. And if you're not addressing it soon enough during your life, it can start tearing down your brain's abilities. And so our whole focus here at CogniThrive is to, no matter where you are in your course of aging, or even if you're diagnosed with a cognitive issue, we teach you how to know how to work with your brain and how to build resiliency in your brain, because it doesn't stop working no matter where you are.
Yeah. Well, two words that you said that I think are immediately encouraging for people is you said fixable and reversible. And many people, I think, are living just thinking, this is just my life now. This is how I feel. This is my reality. And then you talked about some things that you could teach us of how to approach it. So I want to go back to that in just a moment. So hold on there. But I want to go back to something you said at the very beginning. You talked about the stigma around mental health and how that is a barrier between people getting help and wanting to communicate that they're struggling. Because I do think a lot of people struggle quietly. So in your line of work and helping people, talk to us a little bit about that stigma. Do you think most people struggle with that? Why are they struggling with that? And what can they do if they feel that that's a barrier between them and help?
So stigma around cognitive decline has been taught to us by history. Throughout history, it's been normalized to think that just because I reach a certain age, I can't do things with my brain, or my brain starts slowing down. As well as if you are diagnosed with something, they automatically stop thinking that you can do anything. And it's out of a sweet place of meaning well for our loved ones, but if their parent is diagnosed with a dementia or a mild cognitive impairment, they automatically, from their heart, start taking responsibilities that their loved one usually does because they don't want them to be challenged. That's actually the exact opposite of what you should do. Because when you take all those responsibilities away, they don't have any need to feel purpose, or they don't have any ability to use their cognitive skills. And it's just, your brain is just like any other muscle. If you don't use it, you're going to lose it. It's going to get very lazy. And where I was saying that you can reverse a lot of things, you can't actually reverse the disease of dementia, but you can absolutely slow it down and even slow down the progress before you're ever diagnosed, that hopefully you don't get there. And that's what we're all about.
That's incredible. So do you think some of the limitations that you just talked about one, that feeling of no, it's over, people starting to treat you differently, thinking that you said it, they just sort of give up. Do you think that's one of the reasons that people feel they have to do it silently? They don't want to let, the truth out or what's happening because they're afraid of what's going to happen next?
Absolutely. I think that what we've been taught in history is that if your brain starts changing, you can't do anything about it. So no one wants to admit to it because they don't want to be seen differently. But what we know now from research, and the Lancet reports just showed the research where we now know the brain starts changing up to 30 years before dementia is ever diagnosed. That's that golden window of time. I call it the prequel. That is where you can most easily influence your brain's health. And it's things through lifestyle approaches. You've heard a lot of these lately, which is great. Diet, Mediterranean diet. You want to stay away from processed foods. Exercise, exercising your brain, remaining social. But the biggest thing, especially for people in their jobs and their worlds, is trying to limit stress. You have to find a way to counteract stress. And if you don't, it's going to make your decline, if you're having it, go even faster.
So do you think stress is almost like rocket fuel? It just expedites the process faster than almost anything?
Yeah, it really does. So
So
without
what do we do here? Because I hear you and I
right.
hear you go, let's try not to be stressed.
Yeah,
And
I
I
know.
know
Really.
people are going, great, that's
Yeah,
awesome. But the
love that.
kids, the house, the job, the dog, I
15
mean,
conference calls I got to go do, and
but
the board
I
meeting.
know you well enough to know this is not just a blanket statement to minimize our problems. I understand you have processes, you have strategies, you have frameworks that help people with this. So if you've got something you can give us here, give us
Yeah,
a little something to help us with, because I do believe that stress is it's almost a silent killer in so many different ways. The impact it has on our physical body, our mental capacity, our relationships, everything. So please tell me how you help people with this.
first, I think it's important that you understand what's happening. And I'm not going to go deep into science on you, but in your brain, when you are stressed, you get a release of cortisol. Now, cortisol in small amounts is good. Too much cortisol, because you're staying stressed, dampens your brain. Think of like a motor oil in an engine. And a little bit of oil makes things work really well, just like the cortisol in your brain.
Hmm.
If it's overloading, just like oil in an engine, it weighs it down and stops it from functioning well. That's what happens with long-term stress in your life. So you have to find ways to balance it. We need to break the idea that working harder, working longer, working more, and multitasking is what makes a good leader or a good person in business.
Mhm.
Well, we really need to have a more well-rounded approach and have more focused attention to know exactly what your goal is and try to eliminate as much distractions as you can.
Mhm.
We've been so trained from the world these days, with technology especially, that distractions, interruptions are normal. Everyone will have their phone on, even if they have it on silent, it'll still vibrate. You may not pick it up, but you're going to look at it, which means your brain has shifted and gone somewhere else.
Yep.
You're making it work twice as hard. So give yourself a break. Turn the phone off, put it in another room, focus on one thing at a time as much as you possibly can. That alone will help you decompress and release some of that cortisol. So that's just kind of I say easy, but not really easy to talk about,
Yeah.
harder to practice and get in habit of.
Well, but don't you find that it is the most foundational, practical things that have the biggest impact? Turning off
Absolutely.
the phone, putting it down, setting some things aside. I call them controllables and uncontrollables There are some things in life you cannot control, but there
Right.
are a lot of things that we actually can. And so we have to take control of that, discipline ourselves to do what we can do. And
Mm-hmm.
I'm so glad to hear you say that because I think it's something that people know, but I think we minimize really, oh, well, it's just my phone or it's just another appointment for the kids. It's just whatever the case may. It's just another couple of hours of work. But to hear you say it, I think gives a little freedom for people to go, well, if she's saying this matters, I've always felt like maybe, but I minimized it. So maybe it does matter. And so
It
maybe some people are
actually,
hearing you and going, I'm going to do that.
yeah, I mean, I think that most people don't understand how how it directly links to impacting you, but it absolutely links into progressing cognitive aging, how much your brain ages. And just like people worry about, oh, stress on your face and you may need more Botox or something, it does even more than that to your brain. And so you
Yeah.
have to protect your brain. And the best way to do that is with stress and then sleep.
Yeah, that's great. Well, let me
Yeah.
ask you this because I do agree. I think there are controllables, things that we can do, and I think we should be doing that. But I also understand there are uncontrollables. And there are things that are, we have chemical imbalances. We have environmental factors that have happened in our lives. And we carry scars of trauma and all these different things that impact the way that we live. So for somebody who's listening and saying, okay, I'm getting my sleep, I'm drinking my water, I'm exercising, I'm cutting the TV off after 7 p.m., all these things that we could do.
Hmm.
But what do you say for people who have tried everything and they feel like they're not getting anywhere? I feel like this is where your expertise and what you're doing really starts to shine through.
One thing that we've learned over the last 10 years or so, especially around the brain, is how you can build resilience and strength in your brain. And you actually do that by doing cognitive exercises. Now, a lot of people will say, oh, I do crosswords every day, or I do Wordle, or Candy Crush, or something like that. The key is it can't be something that you habitually do. So if you do something that you habitually do, even if it's a new clue on your crossword puzzle, it's still the same practice. You're still only working minimally that one area of your brain. Just like when people say, "Oh, I use my brain all day long at work. I don't want to come home and do anything else." Excuse me. That again is using only that one area of your brain. You're not counteracting it by building other areas of strength. So you need to have a well-rounded plan of exercising your brain. So what does that mean? First of all, what you need to do is understand how your brain's working. So through our foundation, we offer a free cognitive profile where you can get online and you have to set up a registration with me. You get online and you take a 12-step game basically, and it will actually show you 12 different areas of how well your brain is functioning as compared to others your age. And then every year you should retake it. Or if you're about to have surgery or you've had a prolonged illness, you should take it again. And then what we watch for are subtle changes that are creeping in. And if there are subtle changes creeping in, then we talk together about what we can do in your lifestyle. Is it a specific exercise plan? Is it, do we need to go to a pharmacist and have them look at everything you're taking? Because a lot of supplements and medications, especially if they're combined or in exorbitant amounts more than what you need, can cause problems with your thinking. And so you really need to weigh in and monitor it first, then let's figure out what your actions need to be second.
Yeah, I love that because that's a tangible way to really see. I mean, it's very thorough and thought. It's not just some abstract concept of what's going on. That really helps you pinpoint what's
Yeah,
happening and
yeah,
a continued measuring stick, if you will, of how you're doing.
yeah. Think about it. We don't know. I've never been asked cognitively how I'm doing as a doctor. Have you?
No.
No, I know. And considering what we know now is that we can change the course of our trajectory of our brain, why aren't we asked this earlier?
Yeah.
No shade thrown on physicians. That's not what I'm talking about. But we have these tools. The tool I use is actually through Cambridge University. It's researched, it's studied. We pay for a license from it, and it's exact so that you know where your brain's changing. Memory usually is not the first thing that changes. What starts to change earlier are what's called executive functions. Things like your attention span, quickly making decisions. Recall does come back into it, but it's more of these executive functions on how well you can handle the day in and day out operations of your life.
Wow. So, what I'm hearing, I think, above all things in all of this is for somebody who may be struggling with it and just can't figure out how to pinpoint their circumstantial situation. That
Mm-hmm.
it could be deeper. It's something maybe more. I love that you said medications. You can be doing the right things and taking the right things, but it could be a mixture of one or two things that could be impacting the way that you feel. And then your feelings, we're so led by our feelings. And so if we feel bad, we tell ourselves, well, we must be bad.
Right,
And so I
right.
love that you're giving very strategic ways to really go through, almost take an audit of your health and your life to pinpoint some problems that are there. What I want to encourage everyone to do is this. We're going to monitor the comments. And so you may have a question that we didn't talk about in a short conversation tonight, but you may have something that you're wondering about. I'd love for you to just put that in the comments. And that way, Judy can follow up, get you some information, maybe answer some of these questions. You can see all of her information, obviously, there in the description of the post. That way, you can reach out to her and you may want to schedule an appointment. You may want to say, I've tried everything, and this right here is exactly what I need. So we wanted to make her available to you. So thank you for bringing all of this insight to us and letting us get almost a behind the scenes look at our mental health.
Thank you for the opportunity. This is stuff that you can make a difference in your life, and I'm here to help you do that. So please let me know anything I can do.